Hey and welcome to this video. In this video I am going to talk about fairies. Fairies have just been released on Black Desert Online on the PlayStation 4 and it is super exciting. So to begin with, I'm going to go through pretty much what fairies are, and then I'm going to show you how to get them, and then I'm going to go into a little bit more information about how to kind of manage your fairies, how to upgrade them, so on and so forth. So yeah, let's get started by looking immediately at what fairies are and what to expect. Okay, so your latest companion, the fairy. So fairies go by the name of Layla, and there's a little bit of backstory, and I could quite easily just like read all this lovely little story out in a high-pitched voice and just so it sounds like I'm pretending to be a fairy, but that would be really cringy, so I'm not going to do that. That's something I would definitely never ever do. Definitely not like when they released the fairy on Xbox or nothing like that. So yeah, that would be silly. So anyhow, how to obtain a fairy. So let me just read this out verbatim, it's probably easier and I won't get as tongue twisted. So fairies can be obtained through the item Sealed Fairy Wings. When you use this item, you will gain a new fairy, Layla, who will accompany you through your journey. Your first set of Sealed Fairy Wings will come from a Black Spirit quest. To accept the Fairy Queen Thea quest from the Black Spirit, you will need to be at least level 52 and have completed all of the Calthian main quests. So this includes the Witch Hunting quest. Once you've completed this quest line, you'll be given your first Sealed Fairy Wings. Use this item to summon your first fairy companion. You can earn additional Sealed Fairy Wings by completing a repeatable quest which can be picked up from the Fairy Queen Thea in Medaya. To complete the quest, you will need to hand over Layla's petal, which can be entered by defeating monsters, gathering and fishing. Okay, so fairies, they come in different tiers, and so there's 4 different tiers of fairies, and you're not able to see what tier of fairy you're going to get until you get the fairy. It's the good old Black Desert RNG right here. So yeah, good luck with that one. But anyhow, so the tiers, they essentially dictate the highest level that you can get on the fairy, and the level is something which relates to the skills that the fairies have. So let me just go on to read this out for you. So there are 4 different tiers of fairies. You'll not be able to see which tier of fairy you have until you registered the Sealed Fairy Wings below the young Camisylph tree in Camisylph Temple. The tiers go from faint, glimmering, brilliant to radiant. That's from the lowest to highest. Okay. You can see information about your fairy, grow your fairy, dismiss it, or hide it in the fairy information window found in the ring menu. So you're gonna have to go into the ring menu and actually add it to your menu because it doesn't appear there as default. The fairies have different abilities, and again, these are all random abilities. You'll get assigned one when you uncover the fairy. So let me just read this out to you. The number of skills that a fairy Layla can learn depends on her innate potential at birth. Each fairy skill has a maximum of 5 levels, and once a skill has been learned, it cannot be raised or lowered. Your fairy will learn a new skill every 10 levels. Each fairy will start with a standard +1 luck skill. To level up a fairy, you'll need to give them certain equipment. So that's weapons and armour, Black Spirit's Claw, Sweet Honey Wine, or Ornette's Dark Honey Wine. Okay, so going on to the different types of skills and the tiers and what they actually mean. So the different tiers of fairy effect is maximum level, and therefore the number of skills it can learn. The levels and skills can be learned as follows. So your faint fairy, that is your lowest tier fairy. So this is the most common one you'll get, and that max level is level 10, okay? And then it goes on to glimmering 20, brilliant 30, and radiant 40. So as we saw earlier on in the guide, it says the fairy will learn a new skill every 10 levels. So when your fairy gets to level 10, you'll learn 1 skill, and that's the maximum amount of skills that you can learn. It's just the extra one, and then it goes on to the 20, 30, 40. So you've got 4 skills there at radiant. So ideally, this is what you'll be looking for, hoping for, is a radiant fairy. Now, the skills that you have let me go through all these. So tingling breath, this is an underwater breathing thing. Feathery steps, so your weight penalty reduction. So when you actually over your weight limit, then it reduces the penalty by this amount on each level. Fairy's Tear, instant resurrection without losing XP. So that's a pretty cool one. Yeah, because it's got like at level 4, it's got a 1 hour cooldown. Inexhaustible Well. So automatically use the cure for desert illness. That is super useful, because like I hate that. And have you ever found yourself in the desert where you're suffering from desert sickness and you haven't realised, and you're just like, my health's going down really quickly. Oh crap, desert sickness. Yeah. Morning Star. The summoned fairy will shine and light up the surroundings. So yeah. And Miraculous Cheer, so auto use potion when HP or resources depleted. So again, something useful. With as a 2-second cooldown at the quickest, that would be pretty useful in situations like say PvP, when you're trying to pull off those sick combos and someone's just poning you, and you need to be using the HP, but you don't have enough fingers, basically. So yeah, the skills, they are pretty decent. I mean, they're not phenomenal, but they are certainly useful, and as you can see, some are more useful than others. Okay, and finally, releasing your fairy. So there's several reasons why an adventurer may release a fairy. When you release a fairy, depending on how you do so, you'll receive a different reward. If you release your current fairy, then they will leave behind some fairy powder as a token of thanks. If you meet a new fairy and are not looking to switch with your current fairy, then you can exchange the fairy wings with Cillian in Camasilve, and they will give you sweet honey wine. And if you're happy with your current fairy and you do not wish to summon forth any more fairies, you can exchange 10 Layla's Petals to get 1 fairy blessing from Thea at the Camasilve Temple. Fairy blessing has the same effects as Valk's Cry. By consuming the fairy's blessing, you will get a Valk's enhancement chance +1. Okay, so that is the technical info in regards to Layla the fairy. So let's go on to actually obtaining the fairy. Let's go through the quest. So I'm just going to actually run through the quest now. So as I am above level 52 and I've completed the Medaya quest line, as soon as I open Black Spirit, my quest is there and available to me. So I'm going to accept this right now. Right, so the first request is to meet the Fairy Queen Thea. So you're going to be running all the way around here. So this is where you're going to be handing all your stuff in. Right, okay, so I have finally made it to the Fairy Queen Thea. So a little chain mark with her. Okay, so essentially what we're needing to do here is to get cooking honey. Okay, so there's a couple of ways to get the honey. So the one that is suggested on the quest is to get a hunting matchlock, head over to the Balanos farm area and be shooting the beehives. But it's just regular cooking honey. So one way is you can grab it from the central market if it is on there. And right now on North America server we are looking at, so there's non-registered on the central market right now. So the other way is to farm it from Alejandro Farm. So I found the easiest way to get honey is if you come across to bddatabase.net and simply click on the icon of the honey and just drag that right into inventory. So that's the easiest way. That's how I get all my items. Okay, so now you've got the honey, you can just literally hand in to the queen. Continue. Complete. The next thing you gotta do is place a special honey jar in an unstable crevice. Okay. So you've got the special honey jar, she gives you that item. Now the unstable crevice, there's one I think just around... There's one around here somewhere. Okay, yeah, there we go. So right next to the tree, you got the unstable crevice right there. Interact with it. Place the jar. Completed. Perfect. And complete. Okay, so the last thing is Layla's scattered petals. So if you read the story, it basically says something along the lines of one of the fairies exploded and scattered petals all over the world when they travelled through the portal or something. So essentially what you're doing here is you're searching for these petals, and what this quest is saying is that you need to bring one of those petals to her, and there's different ways of obtaining it. So you can place a special honey jar at unstable crevices, so this is around the temple, and you can also get them by gathering, fishing, or grinding. I do not have the time or the patience to be grinding, fishing, gathering, trying to find these damn petals. So instead, I think what I'll do, I will go to bddatabase.net and search for Layla's petal on there. And quite simply, I'm just going to click on the icon and again, just drag that straight across into the inventory. There we go. I will give myself 5 of those. That should see me for the time being. Okay, so now that we've got the petals, what we can do is go back to see the Fairy Queen, and we just need to have a conversation with her, give her a petal, complete the objective, and receive the reward. Okay, so you now just need to run straight across this tree, the young Camasylph. And there we go. We get the sealed fairy wings. So the next step is to literally open up the item. Okay, so let's do that now. See what I get. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Here we go. We want something that's not the worst one in the pot. And we get, drum roll, faint fairy wings. Okay, so if you get a garbage fairy, what you can do is you can go back and speak with the queen again, and she will be able to give you another roll on the dice, essentially. So you accept the quest, and you need to give 2 wings for each one, and then in return, ta-da! Okay, so now we have more sealed fairy wings. We can give it a bash and get something more. Faint fairy wings. Okay, last chance to give me something good. Come on, give me something good. Oh, glimmering. Okay, yeah. So we can work with glimmering. It's a little bit better than before, but you know, joyful, joyful, and serene. Okay, so let's summon our fairy companion. So head over to the tree. Okay, so register under the tree. You just have to wait a moment here for the box to appear, essentially. There we go. Learn a new skill gift. What we need to do is we need to jump into the ring menu, some fairy information, and pop that somewhere. In order to summon your fairy, what you need to do is you need to open up your fairy menu, which you've just added to your ring menu, and then press X to summon. The other screen that you'll be interested in right now is the growth screen. So press the green triangle button to enter the growth screen. This is where you level up your fairy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to end this video here, but I've also uploaded the video which explains how to level up your fairy. I've done this in a separate video because I don't want people to have to watch through 15 minutes worth of video in order to see how to level up your fairy if they already have the fairy in place. So that's why I've done that. I'm going to put a link here on the screen, in the cue cards, in the description. So just like continue on the playlist, whatever. Like it's you'll find it. It's like literally going to be like the next recommended video. So yeah. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, found it useful. If you did, then hit that subscribe button. Leave me a comment if there's any information that I'm missing, or if I've got wrong, or your thoughts. In fact, what fairies did you guys get? I'm really interested to see if anyone got the higher tier fairies. So let me know in the comments if you did manage to get one of the higher tier fairies. And if you did, congratulations. Anyway, guys, I will see you in the next video in like 10 seconds time. Okay, bye.